The top story right now, 40 Indian journalists, 3 major opposition figures, 1 constitutional authority, 2 serving ministers in the Modi government, current and former heads and officials of security organizations and business persons have been named in a leaked database of telephone numbers that may have been hacked into using an Israeli spyware technology called Pegasus. 7 journalists from the list of 40 submitted their data for digital forensics, and a security lab has found evidence that these phones had been compromised. It is not possible to know conclusively whether phones were infected with Pegasus without the analysis of devices by forensic experts, and the Amnesty Security Lab has found traces of the spyware on the mobile phones of these 7 journalists who agreed to have their phones examined. The Modi government has said that there has been no authorized interception by government agencies. This after an international collaborative reporting project published an investigative report on how phones of journalists, ministers and activists may have been used to spy on them. So let's go across to Arvind Gunasekar for more on this. Arvind, the Israeli company, the NSO group, which sells Pegasus, has said that it offers its spyware only to governments and vetted governments. With that in mind, what has the centre's response been?
Sarah, Pegasus is back in the headlines again, but this time with a bigger number. In 2019, there were, for the first time, the Pegasus spyware came to the news, wherein WhatsApp themselves had reported to both the Indian agencies, and also they had filed a case in US court against NSO, an Israeli company, which came up with this software spyware called Pegasus. So in May 2019, it was hardly 120 people who were suspected to be infected with this spyware Pegasus. But this time, what we are hearing is that a group of collaboration of journalists, international journalists, they have put out a number. At least for now, we have just got to know about the journalists and also the social activists who have been hacked through this, who have been surveilled through this particular Pegasus software. So the number somewhere, the journalist number count in India stands somewhere around 40. So the group, the International Forbidden Stories, which access this particular data, the group says that almost 180 journalists across the world were snooped with this particular software. Of this 180, India alone had 40 journalists. That is more than 20% India alone. If you could see the number, Azerbaijan has somewhere around 48 journalists and India with the second number of 40. So that's something, a big number. Government, in fact, government has not come up with any official response, but government through sources, they have released a response that they gave it to Washington Post, wherein they have any unauthorized interception in anywhere in India by any of the agencies. They are also saying that even the earlier attempts to link Pegasus with Indian government agencies have failed, and they are calling it as a phishing expedition. But something that the government has not yet responded, what is, in May 2019, for the first time when the Pegasus issue spyware came into light, which was reported by WhatsApp to the Indian government agencies, it's been 2 years. The government is saying that they had no role in any of this particular spyware, then they did not act, they did not investigate this particular matter for 2 years. That's something the internet experts are raising questions with government. We have to wait for what will be the official response of the government, both inside and outside Parliament, because Parliament session is starting from tomorrow. All
right, let's go across to Sanket for more on this then. So Sanket, the unofficial response really so far seems to go back to that old trite, this is an effort to malign the Indian democracy. But the timing of the story also important because it comes on the eve of the monsoon session, which is to begin tomorrow on Monday.
Well, absolutely. And as Arvind was mentioning, it seems that the government is preparing itself that not just an unofficial response by way of sources and a letter which was written back to the journalists who had basically asked the government for a response and a reply to the questionnaire. But if the opposition raises this question inside and outside the parliament, there will be a strong retort from the government. We are hearing that the government feels that they have nothing to hide as far as this issue is concerned. They feel that a reply will be given to each and every query. The government also feels, and this is a view in the government post the release, the first release or the first cut of this story, that the news article, as of this moment, they say proves nothing because it does not establish a direct correlation between the government of India and these reported infections in journalists' phones. So that's the point that the government seems to be looking at. They say, and they continue to maintain, that there is no unauthorized interception. In fact, the government has even gone on to call this news report a fishing expedition. The government says that there were previous attempts also made by such journalistic pursuits where an attempt was being made to link the Pegasus software and a WhatsApp breach with the Indian government. However, the government says that this matter could not withstand the legal scrutiny in the Supreme Court, where the WhatsApp gave its clear reply. So all this and much more is very clear that the government is preparing its strong defense, not just by way of this, by way of this statement which has been released, but also if tomorrow and day after, whenever more stories come out, when opposition rakes this up as a big issue, which is, by the way, going to happen as Parliament convenes, then the government will not even shy away from issuing a statement on the floor of the House. Even that is a possibility. So it's very clear that the government, on its part, is saying that we'll place facts and we have nothing to hide.
All right, so the stage is set for a possible confrontation. Thank you, Sanket, for that. And the other big story right now, Navjot Singh Sidhu has been appointed as the chief of the Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee. The latest development comes as tensions have been simmering between the Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh and with Navjot Singh Sidhu. And 4 persons have been appointed as working presidents in the state. Let's go across to Ghazali for more on this. Ghazali, we're looking at live visuals right now of Mr. Sidhu in Patiala offering his prayers to the gods after his appointment, after really he gets his way, and the sign-off on his appointment has come even as a group of MPs supporting the Chief Minister were hoping to meet the party chief Sonia Gandhi and put forward their views opposing his appointment. And now even the 4 party chiefs are not of the captain's choice?
Yeah, certainly. Now that shows that how much we can say that trust the High Command has in Navjot Singh Sidhu, that despite all the opposition from veterans of Punjab Congress, some MPs, some ex-presidents, they all went today to Delhi, held a meeting there and decided to meet the Congress president. And before they could get any time or appointment or an audience with Sonia Gandhi or other leaders of the Congress party, the list has come out announcing that Navjot Singh Sidhu has been appointed the party president. Even the 4 working presidents, none of them are Amrinder's loyalists in the list. So certainly a royalist enough to Patiala's Captain Amrinder Singh. And we already reported through the day that how Navjot Singh Sidhu had been holding a marathon meetings with all the leaders, MLAs, known faces of Punjab Congress in the state. He crisscrossed through the state today, but his entire area of function and operation remained Patiala. Patiala is already the home turf of Amrinder Singh. So certainly, as of now, there has been no reaction from Amrinder's camp, but he is a seasoned politician. He will certainly get back with some reaction. We are expecting that he may hold another round of meeting with his MLAs or MLAs who are in his favor. But as of now, man of the moment Navjot Singh Sidhu has got his way through. He has been appointed the Congress president. But the bigger question for Punjab Congress is that 6 months ahead of polls, an organizational restructure has happened. But will this end the crisis, or will it further escalate the tension between the sitting chief minister and the newly appointed Congress president?
All right. Fast developments in this breaking story. Thanks Ghazali, for that. And now in Gurgaon, several people are feared to be trapped after a 3-story building collapsed in Gurugraam's Khwaspur village on Sunday evening. Rescue and relief operation teams are present on the spot, officials say.
इन्फॉर्मेशन इनिशियली ये मिली थी कि ट्रिपल स्टोरी बिल्डिंग है कोई, और वो एकदम से उसका एक पिलर गिरा, उसके बाद लगातार सारे पिलर गिर के और वो ढह गई है। सारे उसकी गुरुग्राम की और आसपास की जितनी फायर ब्रिगेड एम्बुलेंस सारी भी हैं और टीमें आई हुई हैं।
And at least 20 people died after they got buried under the rubble of their homes due to landslides in Mumbai's Chembur and Vikhroli areas following heavy rains that lashed the city and its suburbs overnight. All this in the financial capital of India.
Mumbai woke up to very heavy rainfall on Sunday and several parts of the city found themselves waterlogged. Rainfall that started around 11 p.m. on Saturday continued overnight. At least 11 different places in the city saw wall collapse incidences. But 2 incidents at Vashinaka Chembur and Suryanagar in Vikhroli claimed lives. At least 23 people lost lives in both these incidents.
In the Vashinaka Chembur area, you can see that landslide happened because of heavy rainfall, and because of that landslide, wall of these houses, these shanties which are around here, they collapsed, and in this incident at least 20 people lost their lives.
रात को 12:30 बजे हुआ है, BRC का कंपाउंड वॉल गिरा। हम लोग है ना 1 बजे से कॉल कर रहे हैं, हमको इनका सेवा मिलता है 3:30 बजे।
BST का लाइट का जल्दी बंदोबस्त हो जाता था और फायर ब्रिगेड आता था तो कुछ इलाज हो जाता था जल्दी, लेकिन बहुत लेट आ गए ये लोग।
मुझे लगता है 200 mm से ज़्यादा बारिश हर जगह हुए है। मुंबई में जो फॉर्मल हाउसिंग की समस्या है वो हम उसको हल निकालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो कल की समस्या एक नेचुरल डिजास्टर थी, जो बारिश में बाढ़ आई, ऊपर से पानी और मिट्टी बह के आई, वो दीवार को तोड़ के आई है, और वो दीवार पूरी RCC की दीवार थी, यानी उतना जो फोर्स था पानी का वो कोई भी रोक नहीं सकता।
The centre and the state government have announced compensation to those affected. BJP MLA Ashish Shelar, however, blamed the Shiv Sena ruled BMC, asking for an inquiry into the incidents.
जहाँ पर धोखा ज़्यादा है, डेंजरस सिचुएशन है, कम से कम इमीडिएट उन लोगों को शिफ्ट किया जाए। इसके बारे में जल्द ही निर्णय करेंगे। महानगर पालिका इसको लेकर जांच करेगी।
The incessant downpour hit the power supply at the Bhandup Water Complex, the city's biggest water treatment plant, and BMC has asked citizens to boil water before drinking. Mumbai received 196 mm of rainfall from 11:30 p.m. on Saturday to 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, while suburbs received over 235 mm of rainfall, categorized as extremely heavy rainfall for 24 hours. The IMD has issued a warning for Mumbai for the next 5 days. In Mumbai, with camera person Praveen G. Rohit and Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
And the covered yatra has been called off in Delhi in the view of the pandemic. This order by the Disaster Management Authority of Delhi comes a day after the Uttar Pradesh government banned the religious event. So no celebrations, processions or gatherings related to the yatra, which was scheduled from the 25th of July, will now be allowed in the national capital, says an official order. The Uttarakhand government, of course, was burned by allowing the Kumbh Mela to go ahead, and they had already called off the event amidst fears expressed by experts of a possible third wave of the pandemic and, of course, it becoming a super spreader. UP finally banned the event after the Supreme Court came down hard on the Adityanath government, saying that all sentiments, including religious sentiments, are subservient to the right to life, the right of Indian citizens to health. Meanwhile, there's good news from the national capital. There have been no COVID deaths in Delhi in the last 24 hours. This is the first time since the 2nd of March that no deaths have been reported due to the coronavirus. 51 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. So the news that the Delhi government has cancelled the Kavar Yatra really coming at a point when Delhi seems to be bringing this second wave under control. Meanwhile, India's top doctors' body, the Indian Medical Association, has warned the Kerala government against easing restrictions ahead of Bakrid. The IMA has said that if the order is not withdrawn, they may have to move the Supreme Court against the Kerala government order. The IMA has said it was pained by the decision of the Kerala government, which comes amidst rising cases in the state. Remember, the Sabrimala temple in Kerala also opened up to devotees again on Saturday morning. The Kerala government is allowing 5,000 devotees a day for 5 days into the Sabrimala temple. This even as the state is reporting the highest number of fresh COVID cases daily.